Lonely Flowers is his special. It's on Hulu. It's a hit. You should watch it. A lot of people are saying it's perfect, that he and Bill Burr have the best comedy specials going at the moment. He also has a fun show, a news show, Have I Got News for You, on CNN and Max. And now he's doing Celebrity Jeopardy, and he's sitting courtside at a Knicks game with his idol, Tom Joyner. So there's a lot to talk to him about. Also, he's sitting opposite a very bitter grandpa Shaq, as he just takes out everyone in the league for some reason by just sitting across from Roy, and then all of a sudden Shaq is just crucifying everybody. So you sat there, Roy Wood Jr., across from Shaq, and you thought what, as he just let everyone in the league have it for some reason when you sat down opposite him?
Here's the crazy thing about my episode on Shaq's podcast. That was the last 10 minutes of the podcast today. We talked about everything but basketball for an hour. And then just at the end, hey, do you think Biggs will evolve? I'll elbow Wemby in the mouth and knock his teeth out and make him quit. And I was just like, hey, he played, I didn't. I just need to be quiet on this one. Like, I'm not sure if I completely agree, but this is not the place to disagree. I'll just put it that way. Like, you know, Shaq earned the right to take these shots. I don't know why he does it all the time. I will say that. But, you know, it was fun to sit with him in his element. But you could tell, just being right across from him, that he really is annoyed with the way the game is being played currently.
I think that you probably, I don't know how many times you've been around Shaq, but this happens all the time around Shaq.
That was my first time meeting him.
Okay, so did you do what everyone does about Shaq? Because you know going in, there's a thing you know about Shaq, that he's giant. And yet still, when people get next to him, they're like, God, he's big. Like, you know it going in, and you still don't really actually know it.
Yeah, no, it was cool to just talk basketball with him for a second, but the way my question that I didn't get to in the room with him would have been like, everybody wants 90s basketball, but if you got 90s basketball without 90s referees, you're still like, Shaq would be teed up and tossed before the second quarter. If you're talking about elbowing Wemby in the mouth and then taking Chet Holmgren to the hole every time, like, I don't know if we're gonna ever be able to play like that again. Like, I wonder if aggression to a degree has been kind of legislated out, you know, and to everybody else's point on that podcast, you know, these kids now, like, there's no benefit to being the murderous, killer, death stare college basketball player anymore. That's going to mess up your NIL money. Nobody's going to let you do Experian tax app commercials if you're the mean growling person. So I don't know if that mentality will even exist in basketball at the lower levels in another 5 years, man.
Greg Cody has alleged here, and we haven't even gotten to this today, that Florida has ruined college basketball, and the transfer that the transfer portal has ruined college basketball.
Well, yeah, not Florida. I mean, Florida is merely taking advantage of what the NCAA has allowed. But do you agree? I mean, we've had more than 2,000 transfers just in this window, and
I was afraid that was going to happen.
I saw the little hiccup.
Yeah, I was afraid that was going to happen. He was coughing as I was going to him. He was coughing, and I saw on his face that he was about to cough.
Tried to fight through.
He was trying to muffle the cough, and it just became clear that he was not going to win that fight.
Okay, I want to ask Roy that as much as it benefits the good teams, the rich get richer now because of the transfer portal. But it's been bad for the sport, I think, because it's chaotic now. You had players transferring from teams that made the Sweet 16 this year during the tournament. Yeah. It just seems ridiculous to me.
I think I don't know how you salary cap it per se, but I think that there's a very good way to keep this down. I think it was Carmelo Anthony on his podcast that said 2-year minimums. But, you know, Melo was also talking about just take the student part out of it and just let these schools hire basically athletic mercenaries to play for them to represent the school. I do think that's the eventuality of where NIL is headed in another 10 years if we don't rein it in. But the idea of locking a student in for at least 2 years if you transfer, I think is something that's fair. I don't think we're never going to go back to the old days. So this idea of Mount St. Mary's punching up and beating Kentucky. Done. That stuff's gone. Mount St. Mary's got to get their money up and figure out how to sell cocaine on the side of the university. I do feel like you have to keep the money in the sport. That's fair to the kids. What's happening with NIL is that it's all of the outside cash and all of the outside influences that are changing all of this. When you got kids hawking Carter, here's a bigger question about NIL. Has anybody been influenced to buy anything from any of these children you've seen on TV? I'm not here to mess up your bag, but seeing Flau'jae Johnson tell me I can get my credit straight, I know my credit bad, Flau'jae. Get your money, girl. But also, you weren't going to influence me any more than the next person was to buy the thing. 9 times out of 10 is word of mouth. So I think that college hoops is going to become D1 and D2 in a sense, where you're going to have and have nots. And that's just what you got to get used to. And you just got to hope that one school has a loyal dummy who doesn't transfer because his daddy went there or something stupid.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Does Mount St. Mary need to sell cocaine on the side to keep up in the NIL game at Le Batard Show? Celebrity Jeopardy here. How do you prepare for it? How scared were you or not scared were you?
We got the semifinals tonight. I won last month. It's fun because you're raising money. I'm raising money for I See Me Incorporated, a nonprofit in Birmingham that promotes literacy in children. If you can read, you don't go to jail. They got the statistics to prove it. So you're excited because you're helping people, but you also don't want to be the one that's embarrassed. I can't say whether or not I won or not tonight, but there was a question I got wrong that was extremely easy that I know tomorrow morning my social media mentions are it's going to be some chit chat and accountability that's going to be needed for me for getting that particular question wrong. You can't prepare for it. Either you're dumb or you're not, and it's too late to cram. Like, what are you going to do? Learn all the solar system, moons of Jupiter before you get out there in front of Ken Jennings? And I tried to cram because I know my soft spots. Greek and Roman mythology, because there's no reason for us to ever have learned that in the first place. I'm not good with Shakespeare. I'm not good with the Bible. And I'm shaky on U.S. vice presidents. Like when you get into Spiro Agnew, heads of chief of staffs, and who was the 8th dude on the Watergate tape, that type of stuff.
They
I don't know
do
any
that
of
to the celebrities. It's always easier for the celebrities.
I know. And that's why I feel confident now. All I need to know is like what a raccoon is and recognize 2 statues. Because it's a lot of stupid celebrities. There really should be, like, you want to talk about tier 1, tier 2. There should be smart Celebrity Jeopardy and then dummy Celebrity Jeopardy.
I want to ask you some follow-up questions without getting you in trouble about your future embarrassment tomorrow. Surely, contractually, you could give us some hints about why and how you're embarrassed without betraying Celebrity Jeopardy.
I don't know if I can give away category. Can I give away? I'll say this.
I don't think you can.
I need to know more geography. I'll just say that. And the thing about Jeopardy tricks you because it's how they word the question and the amount of time you have to answer it, and the pressure of it forces you to say something stupid. And it's not that you don't know it, it's that the way you worded the question confused me. Like, it's like when I don't know, you remember, Dan, you come home late 3 a.m. and your girl is like, so you were with the strippers. And you're like, what? So you were. Like, no, you didn't give me a chance to, and it's too late. You should have just said, were you at the strip club, yes or no? But they don't frame the question that way. They frame it in a way where your brain can't process it, and then you look dumb, and then strangers heckle you.
I'll choke in those circumstances because you're not wrong that the pressure will get to you. You will know an answer, and you will freeze up.
Yeah, but it's fine. I was happy to do it. I had more fun at Jeopardy than I did Wheel of Fortune or the Pyramid. No, I had the most fun at Jeopardy because Wheel of Fortune, you're just setting up the next person to win, and it's luck. You got to hope they screw up, and then you get to solve the puzzle. It's got to kind of fall in your lap. Pyramid, if you lose, you're sitting across from the stranger who you cost $50K, and they're a little mad. And, like that I feel kind of bad about because that's not for charity. That's like a regular person who needs that money. So I didn't like the pressure of that.
Or did any single thing help you?
No, but in the first round, they had historically black colleges as one of the categories.
Wow.
And oh, brother, I was licking my chops.
It was Rosie Perez and White Man Can't Jump. All the questions were coming up that she studied. You must have been so happy.
Dan, it'd be like if you were on Celebrity Jeopardy and the category was Cuban stuff. Just a layup, oh my God, it was beautiful. Then the next category was chess. And all I do was play chess with my son, and I was just like, yes. I ran those two categories back to back, start doubling and tripling down in double Jeopardy, and that's how I won, man. Because I went to a black college, both of my parents graduated from a black college. If I don't get these questions right, I have to leave the black race immediately.
Did you look to your right and your left and have any other black people, or were you like, was that?
Yeah, Phoebe Robinson was there too, and Phoebe got one of them right too, and I was like, good, make sure you get one right too, so that they know you know something. You got to let Phoebe get one too. So
you gave her one, right, Roy?
Yes. Watching. I don't know if there's any other race of people that are under more pressure on a quiz show than black people to be accountable to their own race when it is a topic inherent to their race. Like, as a black man on Jeopardy answering questions about black colleges, I'll be an article in Essence magazine. Like, they will slander. So I don't know if any other race has that type of, like, if you're an Italian and the category is tomato sauces, like, is that pressure? I don't know. That felt racist, but you get what I'm trying to say.
It does seem like pressure, but also something that you were excited by. If one of your team captains from Have I Got News for You, Amber Ruffin, she was supposed to do the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and they announced that they pulled the offer. Have you talked to her about this, and what do you say to her, and what happened there?
We made a mention on it on the most recent episode, and what Amber said on our show was essentially that she intended to go at both sides, but as the country started to devolve, she felt like it was hard to ignore people getting sent to El Salvador and the recession and the measles outbreak. She just felt like there were so many things going on that to oscillate books both ways, she had no interest in doing that anymore. She wanted to laser focus on the administration and the correspondence people. They said, well, we can't have you do that. And once that was clear and in the open, Amber said that she just would respectfully pull out of it. Because I think the thing, everybody calls the press corps, cowards for their decision to not have a comedian there, to not hit both sides. But I really feel like, in a way, they're in a rock and a hard place. Is it a sucker decision? Yeah, I think so. But I also think that what's not being considered is the potential backlash on the backside from the Trump administration to the White House pool reporters who were there, who were supposed to be honoring and celebrating. They're probably going to lose access, potentially. If you dare hold this event where they trash me, I'm going to give you less access to me on the backside of that. And then this whole idea of accountability and calling out what's going on, how much are you compromising your ability as a journalist to hold this administration accountable for the next 3.5 years if you let Amber get up there and tell them jokes? And you don't know that. And so that's the juggling act that I think they were weighing. I hate that comedy was removed, because comedy is the way that you get people to pay attention to all of the other stuff that you want honored and celebrated, on that day. But, the event at its core, it is about honoring journalism. So I just hope that we're able to still bring some attention to the people. But, I stand with Amber. I support my co-hosts, 1,000,000% over. But that's just it's a rock and a hard place right now. And it's funny because, I always thought Republicans were the ones that could take a joke, but
you hosted that event, though. So what was your level of disappointment and her level of disappointment? Because that event's a giant event for a comedian.
Yeah, but keep in mind, I did the event under Biden, so that was a little bit easier in terms of, is this a room that's ready to laugh, and can you attack both sides? It's like, yeah, I could. I mean, there were still kids in cages, but other than that, you can still find the laughs around the chaos in that administration. It's it's a room where at best you're only going to get half the room at any given time because the other half can't laugh because they don't think you're funny or they're sitting with their boss that you made the joke about. So it's already a weird room to begin with. And I think also I think part of why the Correspondents' Dinner works is because Republicans and elected officials all show up from both sides. So also keep in mind when Amber stepped down, when they rescinded the offer from Amber, Trump was talking about doing his own competing event the same night. So if you have no Republicans in the room and you have someone on stage that's only bashing Republicans, then they're going to be able to flip and use that politically to do whatever they want to, control the narrative about what the messaging in media. So, it's a slippery thing, man. So how do you do both sides if both sides aren't even in the room? That kind of removes the roast. The roast element of it requires you to be here because I have to do this to your face.
Put us next to you at the Knicks game where you're courtside with your idol, Tom Joyner, or one of your idols. What was happening here? Where does this rank in terms of honors and privileges that you have gotten as a perk in your career?
I grew up on the school bus listening to the Tom Joyner morning show. And, for what Tom Joyner did over his 30 years in syndicated radio, just taking money from his foundation, putting kids through college. I think when he retired in 2017, I think the number was like 30 or 40,000. Like you could take every person that received money for college from Tom Joyner and fill a professional sports stadium with. Like, to be able to just sit next to him, never got a chance to work with him, but to just sit and listen to stories of his time in Tuskegee on the radio, to his time and every wild story from his world famous Tom Joyner cruises, which is how he raises the money for his foundation. That was, next to catching a game with my father, which I'll never be able to do. It was really dope, man. It really was.
Did you have any idea that that's the outfit that he would wear? And did you have any commentary about the outfit that he was wearing?
Being that floral sweatsuit, I'm sure, costs more than my salary at CNN, I will simply say, nice outfit, Mr. Joyner. That's all I will say. Like, there's certain outfits where it just looks so expensive. You can't even say nothing about it. You just go, I would never wear it, but it's a great Bruce would say, it looks good on you.
But what were you thinking? I know what you had to say, but what were you thinking, Roy?
He just told us.
Damn, I feel like it's a lot of flowers, Tom. A lot of damn flowers.
Lonely Flowers is the name of his Hulu special.
Roy, I have a question for you. So we were talking about you courtside at the Knicks game. Tracy Morgan recently returned to sitting courtside. The last time he was there, he threw up all over the court. He had to be taken out. He had a medical issue. If you threw up all over the court, how long would it take for you to feel comfortable in going back to sitting courtside?
I don't know if I return that season. I don't know if I return at all that season. But Tracy Morgan is like the unofficial mascot of the Knicks. Like it's Tracy and Spike Lee, I guess, to a degree. So you got to have both of them back in the game. I'm just glad that when it happened with Tracy, like immediately there was care and concern about him and his health and making sure he's recovering. Because we weren't always like that as a society. Like if you had a public health episode, we would just say crack. We would just assume crack and just say you're a crackhead and he's a drunk. And I feel like we finally progressed as a society to a point where we can just guess maybe it's Ozempic.
What if you had to go, though? What if you were a Knicks fan? What if you had to go in order for them to win and you had to throw up every time? Because when he said, he was like, oh, I had food poisoning, but the Knicks are 1-0 when I throw up on the court now. How many times would you go back and keep doing it?
You know what I thought for sure? I thought for sure they were going to take like his vomit and put it in like little souvenir vials.
Yeah, you have to.
And then call that like the vomit game or something. I was checking the stats to see what the Knicks record was post-vomit, but it's not solid enough to directly point to the vomit being a catalyst for them getting momentum going into the playoffs. I think if the Knicks if Tracy Morgan had to vomit every home game for the Knicks to win, I think he would happily come out there and ruin his stomach lining for the team.
It's like the Grimace Mets, but way worse.
He is built like Grimace. I love you, Tracy.
A Topps 1-of-1 vomit insert, though, would be amazing.
I want some honesty from you on this. While you were talking, Chris Cody said to me, he's like, never has there been a larger gulf between 1A and 1B than Spike Lee and Tracy Morgan. Yeah. I feel like what happened to you is you said Tracy Morgan and then you remembered Spike Lee and you're like, I made the mistake of making Tracy the mascot.
It's Spike, yes.
It's Spike.
We got caught up.
Yeah, it's all right.
No, because here's the thing. You get on this show and talk, and then I'm just thinking of what the comments will be. What about Spike? How you forget Spike Lee? You ain't black. That's why when you was on Jeopardy, you missed that question about geography. Man, I hate black people. And then I'm in an Essence magazine article, and then it just go, and the Griot is talking about me, going, Roy Wood disrespect Spike Lee, and then it's all awkward.
Well, I also think that you're racist because you put Tracy Morgan ahead of Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller don't even stand up during the game. He can't be the mascot. He's a super fan. I'll give Ben Stiller credit because he was checking the score at award shows. So that's a diehard fan. But Ben Stiller ain't standing up like Spike Lee with his hand on his hips like a black mama on the porch looking for her child. Show me that picture and I'll correct myself.
Wow, doubling down.
You remember when Spike was standing like this? Yeah, my camera's hot. You know the picture. It's the legendary Spike picture. Yeah. Show me Ben Stiller like that, and I'll say Ben Stiller's the mascot of the Knicks. Until then, it's Spike Lee, Tracy Morgan, 1B.
Do you have a signature semi-sure bet of the week for us, or do we have to wait until next time?
Let's wait until next time. I will say that I like what the Cubs have been doing in spite of their record. I think they're a couple games above 500. It's a little early, but they're third in the league in runs scored per average right now, and I think that they're doing that without the torpedo bats. Like, if I'm not mistaken, the Cubs, there we go. The Cubs got 84 runs this season. Most runs scored, not average. Most runs scored. Yankees 78, Cardinals 66. So the Cubs are hitting the ball good. You just need the pitching to come together a little bit. So just put your money on them right now.
All right. So it'll have to wait till next time, but you gave us a little sweetener. You gave us Lonely Flowers is streaming now on Hulu. Have I got news for you? You should watch it. It's CNN and Max. It's streaming the next day on Max after it's on CNN. You should go to roywoodjr.com for his latest tour dates and information. Thank you, sir. It's always good seeing you.
Love y'all.